you look good.
Hey!
Hey there. So, how you doing, everybody? I'm Wendy Cole, the editor of Realtor Magazine, and we're with Marki Lemons, who we've been delighted to have as our guest editor for Realtor Magazine's next issue. How's it been going so far today?
It has gone excellent. I am not tired. I've enjoyed my day here because I've learned so many new things that I didn't have any knowledge about.
Right, and you've certainly helped us think a lot about different ways that we should be spreading the word on the websites and on social media and on how we do video. And since we know that you have a lot to teach us about best practices in using video and in live streaming, I thought this is something that that realtors could probably benefit from your knowledge too. So let's sort of back up to the agent or broker who's intrigued with video in their business but doesn't know where to start. What would you recommend?
Well, the very first thing is identifying who your audience is. I love to use Facebook Live because I know that a lot of people that I interact with actually are on Facebook. A lot of people like Facebook Live because everything is built into one app, where when streaming video first came out, there were generally two apps or multiple step process. So if you have Facebook, you have Facebook Live at this point. So I'm thinking about, where is my audience hanging out? If they're on Facebook, then I'm using Facebook Live. If they're on Twitter, then I'm thinking Periscope. If they're on Instagram, I can now do Instagram Live. If they're on Snapchat, then I'm over on Snapchat or even YouTube Live. So go where your customers are. Now, that's first and foremost. Two, make sure you have you a nice little light source. So we kind of tested this light out.
That is the cutest light I've ever seen.
And so, light, you can see how it brings out my positive features.
What is that called, if someone wants to buy it?
You know what? This light right here is spelled XENVO. It's probably backwards on your screen. So once again, XENVO.
How much does it cost, approximately?
The light with the lens that you can do forward facing, right, or rear facing. This kit right here cost $19.99 over on Amazon.
Okay.
In addition to having a good lighting source, you want to have a lavalier mic to make sure that you're picking up the audio. People will watch poor video quality, but they won't listen to poor audio. So you could still capture them if you have good audio.
Mm-hmm. Right now we're not using any mic, but we're very close to the camera here, so it's okay.
We are.
But a lot of times, if you're out on a street, if you're outside with the wind, you need a good mic.
You want a good mic, and you can get one for $12.95. You can put together all the audio equipment that you need all on Amazon in one location for under $100. So that's what I like. So you can go live instantly. It won't cost you anything. And even if you don't have these tools, you can also, of course, this is an interruption, and I turned all of my audio off. I don't even know how people are still reaching me. The beautiful thing is,
don't they know you're busy?
They should know I'm busy. Wait, that lets me know that's a non-real estate professional.
Okay.
If they're calling me right now, because if not, they should be watching us. And so for less than $100, you can put together everything that you need, and the app is free.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the hardware part of it, but this maybe the scary part too is, what are you going to say? What should people be telling their sphere?
Well, one, I'm here today with Realtor Magazine, right? So think about this. You send realtors great content all the time. All I need to do is open my emails. And if I open my emails, I'm getting the content that I need. What I'm going to do is take those national stories and apply it to my local marketplace and put either zip code specific information in it, talk about who my team of people are, who am I going to bring into the real estate process. And so I think that as realtors, we need to stop deleting our emails. We get great content every single day that we can elaborate on and go live with.
But how do we know something is credible? You don't want to be, being the journalist that I am, you don't want to be responsible for sending out information that isn't accurate. And there's a lot of people with self-interest, self-motivation who send emails out, and you want to be professional and make sure they know that if you're sending the message out, people are going to think it's coming from you, and you got to be accurate and credible.
Well, this is the beautiful thing about Realtor Magazine content. you understand the code of ethics that we must adhere to. With that being said, then what I want to do then is I want to make sure that I am getting reputable information. And so I'm going to look at Realtor Magazine. I'm going to look at the most reputable organizations in the industry, because you're absolutely right. The last thing I want to do is to share what could be a hoax or bad content to my sphere of influence, because it's going to ruin my credibility in my marketplace. What I do is I use two tools. One, I use a tool called BuzzSumo. BuzzSumo tells me who's writing the most relevant content. Now, just because it's relevant doesn't mean I can share it. Any content that I'm sharing needs to adhere to two sets of rules and regulations. First, license law in the state where you're licensed. Two, the Realtor Code of Ethics. So there's some things that I read, but just because I read it doesn't mean that I'm going to share it.
Okay. We need to move over a little bit to the left.
Oh, I think we're perfect right now. We look cozy. We're looking like two bugs and a rug here at the Realtor building, honey.
We've known each other now, what, about 5 hours?
5 hours.
Okay.
But you're okay. You my new BFF.
All right, cool. All right. Are we looking better on the frame?
Good, guys.
You look good. Okay,
Right.
we together now. What's your next question?
So tell us how it's helped, how live streaming has helped you in your business when you were particularly in acting more in selling capacity.
Well, I can tell you multiple stories about the value of live streaming video, but this is what I want you to think about, the numbers. By the end of this year, 74% of content viewed will be in the form of video. The beauty of creating video is that it gives you content that you can repurpose. But I'm going to use a local MLS trainer by the name of Carrie Little. And the reason I'm going to use her is because the numbers are in the system. This is the beauty. Carrie did a Facebook Live back in April on the warmest day. It was less than 3 minutes in duration. She has spent $20 on that Facebook Live ad. She has closed 7 real estate deals and earned over $30,000 in commission. Now, I'm talking about a person who doesn't really want to sell real estate. She's a trainer. She wants to train. But in order to provide realtors with social proof that this content works, she had to practice what she was preaching. And so she decided to do a Facebook Live, and as a result, she's earned $30,000 and only spent $20, and it was less than 3 minutes of her time.
That is an incredible ROI.
Yes. And realtors always ask, well, should I have a Facebook business page? Well, my answer to the question is, do you have a strategy for ads and for doing live streaming video? If you're not going to do live streaming video or ads, then I would say you don't even need a business page, because people aren't going to see the content that you're posting over there. I want to encourage realtors to post more than just your listings. First of all, your listings have 3 disqualifiers in it. It's not the price point, the community, or the bedroom bathroom count where your sphere of influence wants to be anyway. Think about providing them with information. We've heard so much about FHA and MIP, the mortgage insurance protection. So people think they can't even buy a house today. Concentrate on the solution, not on the problem. Tell them how they can use CRA programs, how they can use down payment assistance. And so there's so many things that we can provide to realtors in real time that put them in a better position to buy and sell real estate.
Okay. And I think one of our realtor viewers has a question for you.
What are the questions?
We do have a question. How often should you post to your business social media?
You need to post every single day. And the more popular pages post multiple times a day. So if I'm looking at Facebook pages that have a lot of engagement, they're posting 5-6 times per day. But you need to post at least once per day. And as a realtor, don't think about you. Think about what it means to the people that you're interacting with. What type of content can you provide that will help buyers and sellers in your marketplace? It's not about us. I always provide tips that help realtors because I train other realtors. And so 80%, I'm going to tell you how to get a license. I'm going to tell you about a discount. I'm going to tell you about something that is free. That's what you want to give to people. Tell them how to buy a house after foreclosure, short sale, or bankruptcy. Actually, that we really need to focus on that because they've had enough seasoning now that they can come back and buy a house and use down payment assistance. And so it's all about what people want and think multiple times per day, but at least once. Social media is about consistency.
I have a little devil's advocate question, which is, if I'm spending a lot of time doing this every week or every day, wouldn't my clients or potential clients think I'm spending too much time on media and not working on their needs as a customer or client?
I would say that your sellers would think a little different than your buyers. Your sellers want you to be prominent and to spread the word about the community and their house, because it'll get their house sold. Your buyers might think that maybe you're spending too much time, but then you have to put the spin. The more real estate you sell, the more knowledge you acquire, because no two real estate transactions are alike, and as a result, they will benefit from that knowledge. So are there some people who think that you spend too much time online? Yes. I have friends right now, and I made a post about this. If you work for a municipality, and I see you posting 5-6 times a day, I want to know where my tax dollars are really going. And so it's one thing to be consistent and to post something every single day. There's another to hang out online all the time.
And you're really saying that video is overtaking where the audience is. They don't want to read written blog posts so much anymore. They want to see video.
People do not like to read. The brain,
breaking my heart.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But all you got to do is produce great content, right? Because the brain processes video 60,000 times faster than written word. So it's about the ease of consuming the content. People like video. 74% of content viewed this year, right, will be in the form of video.
And people share your videos.
And people
right?
share your
to their
videos.
friends, and the sphere gets bigger and bigger through it, right?
Actually, video is more likely to be shared than written
Is
word.
that right?
Yes. And executives are more likely to come and visit your web page after, or your website after watching a video.
And people think they have to go buy an expensive camera and it's complicated. You can use your iPhone or your Android phone.
You can use your phone. Well, you don't have to have an iPhone, so you can use the good old Droid. This is a Droid. But then I also use an iPad, right? So everything you've already acquired. Now, I know occasionally we'll meet a realtor and they'll still have their BlackBerry.
Or their flip phone. Can't use a flip phone.
No. You're going to have to upgrade your mobile technology in order for this to work. And so I encourage people to update their mobile device every 2 years. So then you will have a lot of the tools that you need are going to be right here in the palm of your hand.
Do we have another question? Yes.
We do. This person asks, if you are new, should social media be the place you focus your energy for getting yourself out there?
I would say if you're new, I want you to have 2 strategies. If you're trying to attract listings, then I think you should still do direct mail. But most new people are going to attract buyers faster. So think about this. You're new to the business. You're looking at the fastest way to a payday. It would be to work with multiple buyers while you're building your listing side of your business. So yes, I believe that you should understand who's looking to sell in the community that you're going to serve. But more importantly, how are you going to attract those buyers? What buyer do you know that could buy a house, left home without this? Okay? They're going to go back home and get this mobile device. Their search for their next home is going to start in the palm of their hand. And according to the 2016 profile of buyers and sellers, right?
From NAR.
From NAR, is it over 67% are going to do business with the first realtor they come in contact with. So I need to be right here, and I need to be number 1, because now I get the opportunity to convert more business at a higher percentage. Everything that I preach, I practice, but more importantly, it's based on numbers. I need to take a look at the numbers, and I do what the numbers tell me to do. So then I'm not running around in a circle chasing my tail. I know what should and should not work because the numbers are telling me what does and does not work.
But going back to the content, I think people should take a lot of care at figuring out what they're posting. Yes, they have a decision that they want to do social media, do video and live streaming, But what thoughts do you have about the kind of content as opposed to just the volume and frequency?
The content should be about what consumers are looking for. So let's say you were to look at Google AdWords. Google tells me what people are searching for, okay, and what their pain points are. That means then I want to develop content or seek content that includes those keywords. I want to become your local source that solves your problems in buying and selling real estate.
What are some of the keywords that you've come across?
Well, this is what I found was funny. When I was doing a Google AdWords search, it told me that the word realtor was searched over 2.2 million times per month. But if I add an S to the end to realtors, it dropped down to something like 33,000 times. So that lets me know that people search for a realtor. They're not looking for two of us. But here's where it's really kind of distinctly different. If you needed a lawyer or an attorney, what do you search for? As a consumer.
Lawyer?
You search for a lawyer. But attorneys describe themselves as attorneys, which then means that they're talking about themselves, but them and themselves are not being found because I'm not searching for an attorney. I'm searching for a lawyer. And I don't want lawyers with an S on the end. I want a lawyer. I only want one. So plural versus singular versus the correct term for what it is that you have to offer. You want to do that research so then your content can be found and you're talking to people the way that they search.
Well, that's helpful information to how to be found, how to be searched. As far as what the content itself is, like tips on getting a house ready for sale or helping buyers.
Thank you.
Yes.
So once I know what your pain points are, then I'm going to develop content and I want to develop snippets. Think checklist, think infographics. That's what people are engaging with. So photos, videos, checklist, infographics.
But not just you talking into the camera there.
Well, if I'm talking about what solves your problems, like if I was giving you a tip right now, 1/3 of homeowners in Cook County do not receive their homeowners exemption. If I was, I would come and do a video on that. I would tell you what the percentage would be, and I might even have you dial in or put your PIN number, right? Inbox me your PIN number. Let me research if you're getting your tax deduction.
What's the typical homeowner? How much money are they leaving on the table because they haven't claimed that exemption?
Oh, exactly. So guess what? If I start talking about that, that's when the phone would start ringing or vibrating, or I get a DM or an IM. Last year, I did a Facebook Live on how to create $190,000 in sweat equity in 12 months. Now, I thought it was a hot, sexy subject, to be quite honest with you. Well, I was getting engagement, but not the engagement I really wanted to get. The engagement increased substantially, and I started receiving inbox messages when I told them, if you lost a house prior to 2003 due to foreclosure, short sale, deed in lieu of foreclosure, or you filed a bankruptcy, you will now be eligible as a first-time home buyer under down payment assistance programs. That was their problem. That solved their problem. That's when the phone started to vibrate. And so you have to do research and then develop the content that they like in the form that they like it in. And if not, they're not going to engage with it.
And news right now is changing very quickly, as we know, with the new administration. And if you can, show that your audience and your client base, that you are on top of it and you know what the changes might actually mean with the mortgage insurance premium, for example, that it isn't really a loss for homeowners since it never did go into effect, and there were a lot of misconceptions about that.
A lot.
Yep. And that's going to most likely continue to happen now with the executive orders being issued on a regular basis in D.C.
Being a realtor to me means that we should concentrate on the solution, not on the problem. And so we hear a lot of negative information coming from a lot of sometimes reputable and non-reputable sources. How do you make it work for people looking to buy and sell in the community that you serve?
Sure. I think we have another question. Okay.
We'll make this the last question. What are some good times to go live? So I'm thinking, for example, like
midnight? No.
Or like if maybe you've just closed and you want to go live with a client and celebrate their new home or something like that. when would you suggest are some good times for realtors to go live?
Are we talking about in regards to the time of day or the occasion?
I think the occasion.
Okay. One, anytime that you have a closing. Two, look at what's trending every single day. And if there's a trending subject that you happen to have insight or might even be a subject matter expert on, then definitely you want to talk then. Now, if you're not the subject matter expert, think about being the source of the source. So everyone is talking about mortgage insurance protection. I happen to work with companies that provide PMI, not MIP. It might now be the time to start talking to PMI companies and looking at how do we leverage conventional mortgages, because the bigger disconnect, I think, is mortgage insurance protection is for FHA mortgages. Forget the fact that they could be jumbo or they could be buying conventional, then those rules wouldn't even apply to them. Clarifying. So anytime there's new information that's trending, that you happen to have information on, anytime that you have a new listing, think about utilizing it to do a virtual tour, seen here first on Facebook before you open the house to the public. As a buyer's agent, get written permission before you share anyone else's listing. That's a license law and a code of ethics issue. And so I'm going to read content, become the expert, and anytime there's other information out there that I believe that I can aid buyers and sellers, then I'm going to chime in. Also think about any holidays that are coming up. So you should have pretty much an editorial and marketing calendar, right? Realtor Magazine. So I know what's coming up. I know what holidays are important. I know when people like to buy and sell in the communities that I serve. Start planning a year in advance what you might talk about at least once per week using streaming video.
Do you think you should include your clients, a happy client after a closing, include them in your video?
I think that you should get written permission before you include them.
Even if they say yes?
Even if they say yes, ask them via email or via text messaging so you will have something in writing. And then I would say use common sense. And what I mean by that is if you know that they bought their property in trust, by no means do I want to display to the public that you just had a closing, because you don't want people to know you just had a closing, okay? If it is someone with the order of protection, I don't want the other person to know that you just closed on your house. So I think, one, we want to have written permission, but then we also want common sense to prevail and think about those other, if the person is extremely private, then no, you don't do it. But if the person wants everybody to know, they've posted already on Facebook, then say, hey, come on, let's do this video or take a photo.
It's one thing to say that you have happy customers and clients, but if they can see them, that tells the story, doesn't it?
It's all the better, but you want to always keep in mind confidentiality and undivided loyalty to that client, putting their needs first. So I would not take the marketing opportunity and jeopardize the relationship.
Of course. That's a couple. Okay, well, I think we should be wrapping this up. This has been really helpful information, and I think you've got a lot of people now searching Amazon for video equipment and lights. And
yay!
Thank you very much, Marki Lemons.
Thank you.
All
Have
right,
a good day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.